Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Yider Insurance Group, Forward Corporation and T.R. McTaggart, Angler Quest Boats, Security Credit Union, Garber Chevrolet, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to another edition of the Outdoor Magazine show right here on the Outdoor Magazine Radio Network. So glad to have you along with us on a very, very exciting time of year. This weekend, of course, Halloween. Now, what does Halloween mean? More than just little goblins running up and down the street. It means the rut. The unofficial kickoff of the whitetail breeding season. A time when the testosterone level in the bucks peaks. Their caution seems to go down a little bit. And if there's ever a time when you're going to do an all-day sit in the woods, now is the time. If you can carve out the time, I'm not just talking a couple hours in the morning, a couple hours at night, go out there and sit the entire day because you are more likely to see midday movement, midday activity, midday chasing right now than ever. Also doing a Facebook Live right now. Andrew says, Halloween also means walleye fishing. Don't forget about that. All right, Andrew, I'll give you that. That's for sure. And looking, and this is breaking my heart. You know, I've been really working hard to try to get back into deer hunting, and I've been somewhat successful. I've spent, a few days in a tree stand this year. But right now, during the time that I really want to be in the woods, looking at my schedule, I have an 8-day stretch in a row that I can't hunt. The worst timing of the year. Between meetings, between Wednesday Night Live, and I do have the honor, the blessing of performing a wedding this weekend. That is always something I appreciate. Thank you, Avid, for the invitation. I do appreciate that. But it looks now like I'm not going to be able to be back in the woods in a tree stand until election night, after taking 8 days off being out of the woods. Now, I know you true hardcore deer hunters say, how in the world can you be out of the woods during the rut? Well, just the way it worked out. But I'm thinking by the time this election gets here, I'm going to be ready. I'm going to be ready to sit in the tree for a while. So far, my season has been interesting. I did see two does in a food plot back in September during the early doe season. They didn't give me a shot. Since then, I haven't seen a deer in the woods. And I know you're thinking, that's crazy. How can you not see deer? Avery, they're everywhere. I think it's a combination of a couple of things. Number one, we are hunting a new property. We just got access to this thing like in the middle of September, so we don't fully understand it yet. We're still, figuring it out. There are no food plots or anything on this property, so there's a bedding area here. But as far as a deer really having a reason to hang around there, it's not like there's a food source there. And I think part of it is, to be honest with you, I have been out of deer hunting so long that maybe I just plain forgot how to see deer. I think that's part of it. Because when my grandson sits out there, he sees deer. When our buddy Robbie sits out there, he sees deer. But I haven't seen any. And I don't know, is it, I am concerned about scent. I don't get really crazy about it like I probably should, but, I keep my hunting clothes clean. I don't smoke cigars in the stand. I don't smoke cigars in the truck on the way out to the stand. I do worry about the wind a little bit, but maybe I've just lost my ability because of lack of using the skill to be able to see deer moving through the woods. Maybe it's something that I need to retrain myself to do, and I'm open to that. I'm up to that. I'm willing to do that. But if I'm going to accomplish my goal of taking that doe with a recurve, first of all, I got to see one, and I got to see one within range. So we'll keep working on that. My grandson Carter, who is just a fishing fool and is turning into a hunting fool, which I love, and his cousin Trent is as well, and Addison as well. Carter was first expressed an interest in getting into deer hunting early in the fall. So we didn't have a lot of time to really get him ready for it. My son James gave him a very nice bow, one of those adjustable youth bows that starts out with a very low poundage, and you can actually crank it up in the draw length and the draw weight to actually make it into a viable hunting bow. Well, Carter's been shooting this thing, and he's a pretty good shot with it. But he's really not pulling enough poundage where I felt comfortable that he could put a good, quick, clean, humane killing shot on a whitetail. And I had been thinking, you know what, Carter, maybe we're better off to put you behind a crossbow. And he was taking his hunter education classes online. So we were waiting for that. We were waiting for him to finish the class. And then, of course, the in-person part of that is waived for this year. So he was taking the class, shooting his bow, getting his hunter safety certificate. Then I took him in to get his hunting license, so he was ready to go. And he's hunting with his other grandpa behind their house because they have a whole bunch of deer. I think that's wonderful. So I'd been thinking, you know what, maybe you're better off with a crossbow. And Carter came to me the other day. He says, hey, Grandpa, I was down in your storage room the other day. And he says, you got 3 crossbows hanging down there? And I knew where this was going. I said, what do you think about that, Carter? And he says, I was thinking maybe I should shoot a crossbow this year. And you're right, you should. So I gave him one of my old Darton crossbows. We changed it out a little bit, put a different scope on there, tried to make it as simple as possible for him, shot it to make sure he was good to go, and I think he's going to be much, much better off with a crossbow in his hand. So there is, even for folks who don't like crossbows, and I personally love them, I think you have to admit that they do have a place in the Michigan woods. For kids who can't pull the poundage, for older folks who can't pull a recurve or a compound anymore, they have their place. And just for people who can't or don't have the time to become proficient with a compound, don't you want them to be as proficient as possible and, again, increase the odds of a clean, quick, humane killing shot? And if a crossbow can do that, how can you possibly be against it? I don't think any thinking human being can. Because, again, if you are offended because somebody else is shooting a crossbow, you need to look in the mirror. Because how does that affect you? It doesn't. The same way as if somebody decides to shoot a year-and-a-half-old buck and you're not in favor of that. If they do that, how does that affect you? How does that impact you? It doesn't. Don't worry about it. As long as somebody is hunting in a legal manner, in a method that hunter considers to be ethical, we're good to go. It's not up to me, it's not up to you to judge a fellow hunter, especially in these days. And fellow hunters, this year we have more. I will go into this in depth in the second hour in the Ask Avery segment. But hunter numbers and angler numbers in Michigan are up. And we can thank COVID. That's one good thing to come out of COVID. The unique number of anglers, the people who bought licenses, not the number of licenses, but the number of anglers who bought licenses up 9% this year. The number of hunters up 12% this year. And I'll talk about what that equates to as far as the number of licenses in depth in our second hour. The Pure Michigan hunt applications went up 84%. Waterfowl licenses up 40%. We're seeing more people in the outdoors. So that's one good thing to come out of COVID. Thank you, COVID. We appreciate that. Thank you for getting people outdoors. Now go away. I do have a request for you. If you are with me on Facebook, and I appreciate your pictures. I want to see your pictures. I want to share your pictures. Please don't send them to me in a private message and expect them to get posted right away, because I am absolutely inundated with pictures right now, and I love that. But please post them directly to the page, and then I will share them. On the upper right corner of the page, there is a button that says Create Post. Click that, and it'll allow you to add your picture and tell your story. Please don't send them to me in a private message and expect me to share them, because I just can't do it. I am overwhelmed, inundated, and I love that. I got a new truck this week. The folks from Garber Chevy got in touch with me and said, hey, we're looking for inventory. We can get you out of your current lease, put you in an upgraded truck, a 2021 higher level truck, higher model truck for less money. Well, I'm no fool, so I took advantage of that. And it might be something you want to take advantage of as well. They're looking for inventory. They're looking for good used trucks. Go see my friends at Garber Chevy, or probably any of the Chevy dealers across the state, but you know I love to work with Garber Chevy. And don't forget about the Wraith 270 see-through blind promo. Go to outdoorpregame.com, outdoorpregame.com. Use the promo code Mike20. You can get one for $200. Coming up in this week's show, Chad Stewart from the DNR talking about the rut, talking about hunter numbers, talking about a firearm season outlook. Tom Campbell of Woods-n-Waternews, and hour number 2, Lance Valentine of Walleye 101, talking about fall walleye fishing on Lake Erie. Mark Torregrossa with our weather forecast for the winter. Of course, Ask Avery. And in the third hour, how to sight in your deer gun with Glenn Duncan of Duncan's Outdoors. And we'll wrap it up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dave Miner. That's this week on Outdoor Magazine. Ground blinds are a great option for hunters. They're safe, protect you from the weather, and they hide your movements. And the new see-through blinds take ground hunting to the next level, because you can see out, but the game can't see in. Until now, you've had to pay a lot of money for that feature, but not anymore. Primal Tree Stand's new Wraith 270 see-through blind is just $200 if you go to outdoorpregame.com and use the promo code Mike20. The Wraith 270 features 270 degrees of visibility, silent slide windows, and it weighs just 16 pounds. It's lighter and less expensive than the competition. To get yours at the discounted price, go to the website outdoorpregame.com. That's outdoorpregame.com and use the promo code Mike20. That'll drop the price to just $200. Again, go to outdoorpregame.com, use the promo code Mike20, and you can get a new Wraith 270 see-through blind for just $200. I think you're going to thank me for this one. Food plots are a big deal these days, and nobody knows food plots better than the folks at Michigan-based Killer Food Plots. Company owner Nick Percy has worked hard to develop premier whitetail habitat for almost 3 decades. That experience, combined with expertise in building healthy soil and choosing the right seed, will produce the results you're looking for. KFP's natural-based Groganics Fusion Fertilizer and Retain Moisture and nutrient-absorbing pellets can give you the edge in creating food plots to attract and keep deer on your property. Check out their website, killerfoodplots.com. That's killerfoodplots.com. Killer Food Plots can help you get your soil where it needs to be to produce lots of healthy, great-tasting food for wildlife and cover crops to screen your plots and even direct the deer where you want them. This year, take your food plots to the next level with Killer Food Plots. killerfoodplots.com.
It's a complicated world we live in. Right about now, I'll bet your head is spinning like a tornado with news and opinions and conflicting do this and don't do that recommendations. Some days, you just want to throw up your hands, go to the woods, and stay there. And you know, that's not a bad idea. Jay's Sporting Goods encourages you to get back to your roots. Do some simple, traditional things for a while. In Michigan's great outdoors, space is one thing we have plenty of. So put as much social distance as you like between you and everyone else, including all your social media pals who somehow just recently became experts on every topic. And one more thing. Before you head out, head into Jay's Sporting Goods. Because even though there are shortages of a lot of things these days, Jay's has just what you need to make the most of your escape to our beautiful wide open spaces. It's the gateway to social distancing the way God intended. Jay's Sporting Goods, Clare and Gaylord.
Hey, you like to hunt for different game in changing conditions, but it can be expensive to buy hunting clothes in every pattern. Well, now there's a way to change your camo without breaking the bank. With VersaSkins, you can buy one set of hunting clothes and change the pattern to suit your surroundings. You can switch from whitetail to waterfowl, blaze orange, and snow camo by just snapping on a new skin. Plus, VersaSkins keep you warm, dry, and protect you from the elements. To learn more, check out the website versaskins.com. VersaSkins, just change the skin for the season you're in.
When you buy a Michigan hunting or fishing license, you're helping to fund conservation efforts across the state. The majority of funding for taking care of Michigan's fish and wildlife comes from you, hunters and anglers, not state taxes. So on behalf of the Michigan Wildlife Council, we'd like to thank you for your part in ensuring that Michigan's hunting and fishing heritage will be here for generations. Learn how the Michigan Wildlife Council promotes the role of hunting and fishing at hereformioutdoors.org.
You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Traverse City on WTCM. That's 580 AM. You can hear us in Lansing on WILS 1320 AM. And north of the bridge in Marquette, WDMJ 1320 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by the Hunter Safety System. Two types of tree stand hunters, those who have fallen and those who will. If you haven't fallen, consider yourself lucky. I think you are foolish to go up a tree without a full body harness on. In fact, I think it's a very selfish act because there are people in your lives who depend on you. I know you're young, you're agile, you're still a stud, you can climb a tree, right? Well, sometimes you fall asleep, sometimes a tree gets slippery. And a lot of us, to be honest with you, are getting older. And to go up a tree without a full body harness is just absolutely crazy. I recommend Hunter Safety System because I know these guys. I've been with them since they started the company. They're Michigan guys, and I think they make the best products out there. If you don't like Hunter Safety System for some reason, please at least wear somebody's full body harness and a lifeline that you can attach to on the ground, stay attached to it all the way up the tree while you're in your stand and back down. It just makes sense. HunterSafetySystem.com is the website, HunterSafetySystem.com. Well, this weekend is Halloween, and Halloween means different things to different people. As I was saying in the first segment, to deer hunters, Halloween kind of marks here in Michigan the unofficial kickoff of the rut. That time of year when, if you can, you need to carve out some time to be in the stand or in the blind all day long to try to take advantage of this magical time in the whitetail woods. Chad Stewart knows our Michigan deer herd better than anybody, in my opinion. He's the big game specialist for the DNR, michigan.gov/DNR, and he's with us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Chad, welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing good, Mike. How about yourself?
Good. Listen, are you guys still all working remotely? Have they let you come back into the offices yet?
No, we're not in the offices. The offices are still largely closed. We obviously can get out and do some work in the field, depending on your job title. I'm more of a pencil pusher at this point in my career, so I'm currently talking in my sweats from my bedroom. So well, that's where I've been for months.
Well, at least you got pants on.
Yeah, true.
So what about COVID and budget and everything? It has affected testing, CWD testing, and it has affected deer check stations too, hasn't it?
Yeah, hunters are definitely going to notice a change this year with check stations. A lot of hunters are used to going and having check stations pretty much open throughout most of the season across much of the state. And obviously, as successful early archery hunters are finding out, that's not the case this year. We did have to cut back. There's a multitude of reasons, but a lot of it is related to staffing and some of the COVID situation that we're currently under. So we had to sort of reprioritize this year in how we operate those check stations. So specifically, we're going to have check stations open mostly during the peak time when most people are out, and that's that start of the firearm season, November 15th through the 18th. That's when a majority of them are going to be open. We do have a couple other ones open a little bit longer that in areas that we're prioritizing disease testing. So specifically things like up in the Northeast where we have TB concerns and in specific locations where we have CWD concerns, specifically some of those emergent areas like southern Jackson County, western Gratiot, southern Isabella, southern Dickinson. We are very interested in getting deer sampled out of those areas for CWD. So those check stations in those areas are open a lot longer. And then we're obviously still providing limited service testing in places where we've already identified CWD and have been for quite a while, places like Montcalm and Kent and Ionia counties and whatnot.
Anecdotally, just based on what I see on my social media outlets, primarily my Facebook page, I feel like I'm seeing more big bucks this fall than I have in a while. Do you have a sense of that at the state level? Is it an exceptionally good season in some way? Can you determine that yet?
So, there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with this statement, right? But I think we've been trending in that direction for quite some time. Like going back 20 years ago when we would check all the deer that we could at deer check stations, 70% of the yearling bucks of the bucks that we see come through were yearlings. And now we only see about 50% of the bucks that we see are yearlings. So, and obviously that the growth between year one and year two is pretty substantial for most adult male deer. Some of that is based on some of the antler point restrictions that we have in certain parts of the states, but a lot of it is based on hunters just voluntarily passing. The other thing that we've got to factor into this, Mike, and we've talked about this a little bit, is 20 years ago we had almost 300,000 more hunters in Michigan, and as our hunter numbers go down, we know that there are going to be fewer and fewer bucks that are being harvested, which means there are more and more bucks being graduated to older age classes. So I think this is a trend that's going to continue to happen, and we're going to continue to see bigger rack deer in Michigan as time goes on for any one of those three reasons.
Speaking of hunter numbers, though, you did get a pretty good bump this year. I think probably COVID related, but how does that figure into the equation?
Yeah, that's a really good point, too. So earlier this year, we put out a report that compared to, and this was probably early September, late August, our deer license sales were up about 25% from that point in time last year. Now, that number has leveled off a little bit. I think we're up about 15% now compared to this year or last year at this time. So there's two things that are probably happening. One, we're probably going to see a bump in hunter participation, which is a great thing. And I think you're right. I think it probably is COVID related, but we don't know what that number yet is going to be. We don't know if people are just necessarily sort of flocking to deer hunting and buying their license, or if it's just a function of people buying their licenses a little bit earlier because they're afraid that maybe the state's going to shut down or who knows, whatever, which we're not planning on doing at this point, obviously. But we're still trying to figure out if that bump is what that bump is going to look like, because so many hunters still procrastinate in buying their licenses. I think about 30 to 40% of deer hunters buy their license, in the week leading up to the firearm season. So that number could still shrink a little bit in terms of how many numbers and hunters we're going to see participate as we get closer to that firearm season opener.
Or it could go up. I mean, you don't know. It could take a big another jump yet.
You're absolutely right. We just don't know. So all we can do is report our numbers at the current time and where they were last year. And this year, at this point, we are definitely trending up from last year at this point, which is great news. And we're already thinking about ways to try to, capitalize on that and try to sustain that momentum as much as possible, going into future years. Hopefully people get reinvigorated with the sport of deer hunting and continue to purchase licenses at a higher rate, because we definitely see that attrition of hunters over time as one of the biggest challenges that we have facing us in the future.
Chad, let's talk a little bit about the rut. It's a very interesting time in the whitetail world, isn't it?
Oh, this is when total chaos if you're a deer right now. So, and sometimes in a good way. So, depending on where you're at in the social hierarchy. But you're absolutely right. This is an exciting time. If you're a deer, it's an exciting time if you're a deer hunter.
It makes everything go kind of crazy when these bucks. The testosterone level jumps. They get a little bit crazy. They're running the does around, so the does feel the brunt of this activity. It's just you're just more likely to see activity in general, daytime activity, chasing, everything, right?
Yeah, their patterns. You can throw pretty much all their patterns out the window from what you've observed throughout the summer and early fall. Things have changed quite dramatically. You'll see deer that you haven't seen before show up on your trail cameras or while you're out scouting. Numbers of deer are going to fluctuate. The activity level is no longer sort of confined to what we call that crepuscular period. So it's sort of sunrise or sunset. You can see fully mature bucks cruising through the woods or in fields at 12:30 in the afternoon, which is typically not something you're going to see the other time of year. So it's really exciting. The deer are a lot more visible than they have been throughout the entire year. And if you're an archery hunter or if you have a crossbow and you get out and hunt, this is really the most exciting time to be in the woods.
Do year-and-a-half-old bucks actually get to breed here in Michigan?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. There's actually quite a bit of research out there that shows that even a doe that is, bred by a potentially mature buck would also breed if that buck doesn't necessarily lock her down for the entire sort of 48 hours of her estrus period. Another buck could sort of sneak in and also breed that doe. And typically about 20 to 25% of the twins that are born from a doe are born from different fathers.
I had no idea.
Yes. It's one of those random, fascinating data points that people have looked at. They've done genetic work on it, and a lot of times they'll have a different father. So the female is really focused on maximizing, her reproductive potential, the viability of her offspring, and the way that she ensures that is reproducing with, sort of the most fit or dominant male in the area. And sometimes, she might have one breeding occur and another more dominant animal might come in, and she might think that that's just as good. But meanwhile, they both have sort of succeeded in siring a fawn for the next year.
And how long will she stay hot?
Their estrus period is typically about anywhere between 24 and 48 hours. So what you're seeing in the woods right now typically is that most of the males are ready, and a lot of the females just quite aren't there yet. So what's happening is the males are cruising around a lot more. They're in that sort of either seeking to chasing phase, and certainly you're going to get a few does that are coming into estrus a little bit early. But the peak actual breeding time is probably, and this is pretty consistent throughout much of Michigan, is really into that first week in November, just leading up to the firearm season. And certainly you're gonna continue to see some breeding during the firearm season. You're going to see some breeding now, but the peak is over the next probably week to week and a half that you're going to see most of that occur.
We're talking with Chad Stewart of the DNR, michigan.gov/DNR. He's the big game specialist for the department. We've got to take a break here on the Outdoor Magazine Show. When we come back, a few more questions for Chad, including the outlook for the firearm season. He said something interesting, too, about passing genes along. I want to follow up on that after the break right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine Show in Carroll on two stations, WKYO 1360 AM and WIDL 92.1 FM. You can hear us in Sandusky on WMIC 660 AM, and you can hear us in Iron Mountain on WMIQ 1450 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by Speedy Blaze. Speedy Blaze is a safe, clean, water-resistant alternative to firewood. It's safe to cook over. You can use it in your fireplace. You can use it in your fire pit. You can use it in your grill. It's made from recycled hardwood. It is water-resistant. It is insect-resistant, and it is a wonderful product, a Michigan-based product. We use it for our fire pit in the patio, and I really enjoy it. It burns clean, burns hot, and always starts. Check them out online at speedyblaze.com, speedyblaze.com. While you're online, of course, check out my website, if you would, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. And jump over to the DNR websites, michigan.gov/DNR. There's more information on that website than you can ever possibly get through. We're talking now with Chad Stewart, the big game specialist for the DNR. Chad, before the break, you said something about, bucks when they breed passing on their genes. And I got thinking, well, a 1.5-year-old buck has the same genes he's going to have when he's 5.5. So it doesn't matter if he breeds when he's older or breeds when he's younger, right?
You're absolutely right, Mike. That's one of the common misconceptions that a lot of the criticism I hear when someone shoots an older buck in one of the earlier seasons, that it's too bad that guy's not going to be able to spread his genes on. And chances are, if he's a 2.5, 3.5, even a 4.5-year-old buck, he has already spread his genes on. And furthermore, any offspring that he has is going to have contribute to, the subsequent, expression of those genes. They just fully haven't been expressed yet because they have not fully matured. But a 1.5-year buck that's breeding that turns into a gigantic 4.5-year-old buck, provided he lives that long, will have the same the same output or the same genetics expressed in the population as that individual that's 4.5 years old. He's just doing it sooner.
Do you have a feel yet for what the firearm season looks like? My observation is in the southern part of the state, in farm country, the corn looks like it's going to be down for the most part by the firearm opener, and that's always a good sign for southern Michigan hunters.
Yeah, it will be. I actually just looked at a graph on the corn harvest progress, and it is right in line with the 5-year average. So that's a really good thing. It's ahead of where we were last year. So it seems like we're cruising right along with that. And you're absolutely right again, Mike, that the more corn that's off the land, the fewer places there are for deer and specifically bucks to sort of hide in. So that's going to increase probably your sighting, your opportunity, and most likely your harvest during the firearm season.
I really didn't give us enough time to fully investigate that this time around, and I apologize. But in the 3 minutes we got left, what about the UP and the northern lower? What's it look like?
Yeah, we've been trending upwards in both of those areas. Obviously, the UP is a completely different situation. There's a lot of variability with where you hunt. There are some places that are still really low with deer, and some of those places, especially along the northern shore, have already gotten quite a bit of snow already. So really it's going to depend on how much snowfall happens between now and the start of the firearm season and whether any sort of migratory behavior kicks in for a lot of those deer. But in general, we've been trending upwards in both regions. And as I've said earlier, we're still really focused on TB sampling in our Northeast. So if you're anywhere in that DMU 487 or any of those surrounding counties and you get your deer harvested, we're absolutely interested in getting that deer tested and checked for TB. So if you're able to find a check station or a drop box, it would really help us and give you peace of mind to know that the status of that deer in regards to TB.
You have an interesting situation here in Michigan in that you've got a southern Michigan deer herd, you've got a UP deer herd, and they're the same critter, but everything surrounding it is completely different. Completely different situations.
Yeah, I often tell my counterparts in other states that I'm kind of dealing with managing 2 deer herds or almost 2 states worth of deer herds because they are completely different. And in some ways you want to try to simplify things as much as possible, and because people do move from the southern lower to the UP to hunt and try to make those understandable. But at the same time, you have to make things, recommendations and management recommendations appropriate for the actual resource. So it can be a challenge, and that's what makes it difficult, and that's what makes it fun here in Michigan.
Fun?
in a twisted sort of way. Fun,
in a weird kind of way.
Yeah.
All right, Chad, listen, always appreciate your time. Have you had a chance to get out yourself at all?
I've been out a couple of times. I'm part of an urban archery program and was successful in taking a doe. And we, the archers in that program are required to donate their first deer through a donation program. So we've been doing quite well together as a group, and I was fortunate enough to contribute one. So I'm still going out and looking for, I guess, my own deer at this point.
Nice. Good luck to you, Chad. Always appreciate your time. Chad Stewart of the DNR, Michigan.gov/DNR, Michigan.gov/DNR. We'll take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine Show. When we come back, Tom Campbell of Woods-n-Waternews will check in with us, and in the second hour, we'll turn our attention to fall walleye fishing, primarily on Lake Erie with Lance Valentine of Walleye 101, his big what does he call it? His big fall weekend on Lake Erie coming up. Mark Torregrossa with a forecast, a look ahead to the winter weather. What can we expect? And this week's Ask Avery segment, kind of a follow-up on hunter numbers, the trends, how COVID has affected things, also angling numbers as well. That's coming up. That and much more this week right here on Outdoor Magazine.
At Garber Chevrolet in Midland, Saginaw, Linwood, Caro, and now Chesaning. We're better for a reason. Like Garber's low price guarantee. Get incredible everyday low prices on a new Chevy Equinox, Silverado, Traverse, or Trax. Think you found a better deal somewhere else? Bring it to us, and we will beat it. Getting more options and choices is always better. And Garber's combined inventory is the Great Lakes Bay region's largest selection of new Chevrolets. Browse online at GarberChevrolet.com. Then use our Buy From Home feature to purchase entirely online. And Garber Chevrolet's customer service is in a class of its own. We always put your needs first. Better prices, better selection. There's a reason why you'll do better at Garber Chevrolet in Midland, Saginaw, Linwood, Caro, and now Chesaning. Home of the low price guarantee. Online at GarberChevrolet.com. Chevy, find new roads.
You'll do better at Garber.
Have you tried the Mike Avery Hunter Sticks from Michigan Brand Meats? They feature two of my favorites, elk and pepper, and I think they taste great. I've been working with the Grillo family of Michigan Brand for a few years now, and I couldn't be happier. Michigan Brand is family-owned and based right here in Michigan, and they make lots of great products. From jerky, sausage, and those hunter sticks to their famous Michigan Brand hams, you can't go wrong with Michigan Brand meats. Plus, Michigan Brand can process your boned-out wild game, too. Check out the website, MichiganBrand.net, for more info. That's MichiganBrand.net. You can buy the Mike Avery Hunter Sticks on that website. Plus, you can get them at Jay's Sporting Goods, all Forward convenience stores, Jack's Fruit Markets, and many other great stores, too. There's a complete list on the website. Again, that's MichiganBrand.net for the Mike Avery Hunter Sticks, the outstanding Michigan Brand hams, and lots more. MichiganBrand.net. Security Credit Union wants to thank you for helping to make them one of Michigan's fastest growing credit unions. Check out Security's Debit Rewards program, where you can earn points just by using your debit or Titanium Rewards credit card. Redeem those points for great gifts and merchandise. Or how about the Save to Win account? That's a Security Credit Union account that gives you all the benefits of a traditional savings account, plus the chance to win big. Every $25 you deposit into this share certificate earns you an entry into the monthly and quarterly drawings. The more you save, the more chances to earn. Up to 10 entries per month. You'll build up your savings, earn interest and dividends, and have a chance at multiple prizes. And remember, Security Credit Union loves to work with outdoorsmen and women, and they can help you with your next outdoor adventure. Check them out online at securitycu.org. That's securitycu.org. Federally insured by the NCUA. The folks at Yider Insurance Group know you have lots of money invested in your hunting and fishing gear, and they want you to be protected. The Yider family has been in the insurance business for more than 75 years, and they build a reputation for taking great care of their customers. As a full-service agency featuring auto owners insurance, Yider can insure your fishing and hunting gear, your boat, snowmobile, ATV, and trailer, just about everything you depend on for your outdoor adventures. Yider also specializes in protecting outdoor-related businesses, From fishing guides to shooting ranges, anything for the great outdoors. The folks at Yider can help you because they're hunters and anglers themselves, and they know what we need from an insurance company. For more info, go to their website, huntingandfishinginsurance.com. That's huntingandfishinginsurance.com. Or call them toll free at 800-975-6473. I trust the Yider Group and auto owners for all my insurance needs. Because with Yider and auto owners, you've got friends in the outdoor insurance business. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Tawas on WIOS, AM and FM, 1480 AM, 106.9 FM. You can hear us in Flint on Supertalk 1570 WWCK, and north of the bridge in Newberry, WNBY, 1450 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Great Lakes Charter Training. If you've ever wanted to be a charter captain, I think this is your best option. This is how I got my captain's license, and it wasn't easy. But the folks at Great Lakes Charter Training made it a lot easier. Captain Mel Stackpool, Captain John Littlefield, they do a great job. They have classes throughout the state now this winter. They're back allowed to meet in person again. Check them out online at glctraining.com. That's glctraining.com. While you're online, of course, check out my website, if you would, MikeAveryOutdoors.com, and woods-n-waternews.com, the website of Michigan's premier outdoor publication, in my opinion. And Tom Campbell, one of the big reasons for that. Tom, welcome back. How are you?
Great, Mike. How are you doing?
Great. It's a wonderful time of year, isn't it?
Exactly. This is the time of the year, end of October, 1st of November. What a great time to be a Michigan sportsman, that's for sure. But at the same time, Mike, it's really perplexing for us because you got so many choices. You know, do you grab your archery gear? Do you grab your shotgun? We got terrific waterfall hunting. We still got a little time to get some pheasant and woodcock and grouse hunting in. And of course, squirrels still open. Or do you grab your fishing gear because you got fantastic fall fishing for big fish going on? So, yeah, it's a little confusing for us at times.
Confusing, but doesn't that just remind us why we love our great state and why guys like you and I are just blessed to be in the industry, the business that we're in?
Yeah, you're so right, Mike. Yep, agree completely with you. Yeah.
Have you had a chance? I know you've been busy with the magazine every month. That thing, that monster is there in the corner. She's looking at you. You got to get it done every month. But I hope you're getting a chance to get outside and get something fun as well.
Oh, absolutely, Mike. But my best bow hunting trip is pretty typical of Tom. You know, it was a tough morning hunt. Didn't see a whole lot. A little small spike. Thought he was a monster 10-point chasing all the does around. But the big thing is, so I get out of my stand and head home and drive in the driveway, and I go, what's that in the backyard? I throw my binoculars up, and in the trail is one beautiful 10-point buck. So, that's just so typical of me. So, but it was fun anyways, and it's fun. And if my wife's not listening, I'm not hunting in the backyard.
No, not
at all.
But why? How do those stupid critters know that? Why do they do that to us?
Oh, no kidding. So many times. So many turkeys have done that to me in the spring, too. You come home, and there they are strutting in your backyard. But, again, that's part of this great adventure, isn't it? It is. Part of it.
It is. And it makes for great stories. It makes for the times when you do connect and harvest an animal or catch a trophy fish. And that's not the goal, but it makes for those times when we do that all the more special.
Yeah, you got that right, Mike. Absolutely. Yeah, very, very true.
And I think about your magazine, Woods-n-Waternews. If do you concentrate on those trophy hunts, or do you concentrate on the me and Joe going out and seeing a 1.5-year-old 6-point? I mean, what's the bread and butter these days?
The bread and butter. Obviously, we kind of got to walk that line right down the middle. We want to do both because sometimes, it's not always the biggest buck that's the greatest story. And right now, obviously, we've got a real emphasis on youth and youth hunting, and we're going to keep pushing that. And we've been doing a lot of stories on young people harvesting on deer, the first, second, third deer. So we'll continue that. But we always love and we encourage on the other end when somebody does harvest a beautiful trophy buck that rather than, we write the story or a outdoor writer writes a story, it's so much better sometimes when the hunter himself puts it in his own words and sends that along. It just has a little different tone. You can almost feel a little bit of the passion, a little bit of the emotion in it, more so than if we would write it. But so we encourage that, and so it's the best of both worlds here. We want to do it all, and we want to get all the unique stories and the character stories along with those trophy stories, because people are just we are enamored. We're amazed with large bucks. Sure. That's all there is to it. Yeah. So.
Now, in encouraging people to send in their stories, I think some people are hesitant because they say, you know what, I'm not a writer. Maybe my grammar isn't the best. Do you help those people out? Do you kind of massage it a little bit without changing the story itself?
Exactly right. Yeah, we sure do, and nobody has to worry about that. Sometimes it can be almost in note form. It can be anyway, and we can help them out. And if they get stuck on anything, we're there for them. And that's never a problem, never an issue at all. So
wonderful.
Like you said, we encourage everybody, and we've had a few come in. Not nearly as many as I was expecting. I thought there'd be more archery hunters out there early this year with the situation that's going on out there. But and sometimes people are hesitant too. They don't think their deer's good enough. They're the stories, worthy. But send it.
Send it. Send them all, and let Tom and the crew decide which ones to print. Tom, always a pleasure. Good luck in the backwoods, and I'd send people to the website woods-n-waternews.com. We'll take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine Show. When we come back, we'll talk to one of the guys who writes for Woods and Water News occasionally, Lance Valentine of Walleye 101, talking about fall walleye fishing. Mark Torregrossa with a weather forecast for that season that's coming up after the fall. I won't even name it yet. And this week's Ask Avery segment talking about hunter and angler numbers in the age of COVID here in Michigan.